welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club with 4 race starts. We're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders are lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders, in green our Category 2, in blue Category 3 and Category 4 in red. Everybody now has been set away, the flag has been dropped, and it's now for our riders to show us who has got the power, who's got the speed, who's got the tactical race ability. Mary Joyce Coking has said, do you know what? I'm going to push on here. Now, Mary Joyce Coking currently has a lead over the riders in the same category, 38, now 39 seconds. Ella Fink, Liz Smithson and Natalia Idzik in front of the Category 3, but the Category 3 train is going to sweep them up. 3 riders together. Will any more bridge across? Will anybody be able to get across the 8-second gap behind? That's the distance back from this group. That is the distance they need to close down. Leading riders are spread out, should I say, from 28.35k to 31.35k. 3 kilometers on the ground separating. Tanya is leading this. Has she got enough? Oh, she's gone early. Has she gone too early as she might have done? Look at the numbers in red. Hadlock's coming on alongside. Kokonen's coming alongside her. Kokonen and Hadlock go across the line together. Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Qualifier Race number 3 on the Sunday Race Club. It's the 20th of August 2023. My name's Matt Payne. I'm going to be here bringing you all of the race action here today. Fresh from the Worlds, fresh from the big championships in Glasgow, along with Emma Martin. And Emma is back with us after being on the mic for the indoor cycling. And that's not esports, that's artistic cycling and cycle ball. But you had a bit of a ball yourself.
Oh, I did indeed. But it is great to be back in the studio with you, Matt, and great to be back for qualifier race number 3. I can't believe it's qualifier 3 in August. So it is indeed qualifier 3 in August. It's the 20th of August and we are heading to Colombia today for our women's race. They are on the Paso Alto. You can see it in front of you, 35 kilometers of racing, 537 meters of climbing. And you can see it's pretty flat other than our bridge sections through the first part. And you will see that those are the tiny little yellow bumps you can see in the early part of the race. And then we have the main climb. We've got 2 climbing sections, 1 category 2 climb, 1 category 4 climb coming towards the end, and along the way 5 sprint segments for us to see how the racing is going.
Well, let's see how that is. This is, of course, very much of 2 halves, isn't it? We have effectively, or 2/3 and a third, really, the first section, that flat section, very much about keeping in the pack, maybe trying to lose a few people. But then we hit the steeper climb at Medellin City. But the Bogota climb, that has actually got some pretty steep sections too.
Yeah, it does indeed. Though the climbing today, less steep than we see on some of the other courses. The first climb, 2.9% average gradient, and it's pretty steady. The final climb, 5.9% average gradient. So indeed, it is the latter part of the race today that has the steeper climb.
It is indeed. And of course, time is ticking down for our riders. You can see we have 4 categories. If you're new to the event, category 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1 in yellow, 2 in green, 3 in blue, and category 4 are first starters in the red. Now, we're going to have a quick look through this race field for our riders. Now, they're all individual riders, no teams today because it's not the finals when we suddenly see a big influx of teams coming together. Who have you got on your hit list, Emma?
Well, 14 riders in category 4 today. Alcarbi is here, Geraldo de Gracia, Vink, Paulo Garcia, Tanglian, Madeira and Smithson all on the line today. I think this is going to be a good race, and I think this is setting up category 4 particularly nicely for the final of August.
So here we go. This is the countdown into the first wave of riders away. Category 4, qualifier race number 3. The clock is counting down. 5 prize spots, 1 race winner, and away we go. So our first race category away. This is the kick off from the line, and as you can see, the riders moving out as one pack from the start. You can see the kick, though, is already coming. Smithson very quickly up to the front. Nobody wants to get left behind, and the start on the racing really critical here, Emma.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned today, Matt, today's course is very much about the first roughly 22 kilometres with not a huge amount of climbing, pretty flat. Staying in the bunch, absolutely key, but there are bridges along the way. There are some little peaks and troughs, and we will see some attacking, mainly to lose riders out of the bunch because you don't want to take a full race field into those climbs.
You definitely don't. And if you take the full race field, what's the gamble for people who maybe are new to the sport? What do you risk doing?
Well, you know, if the punchier riders need to utilise the first 2/3 of this race course today to try and hurt the climbers' legs so that they can't push on quite as hard, but B, to try and whittle the group down, as we say, so a smaller group goes into that climb, because the less people you take into the climb, the less competition you have. So even if your legs are good today, you don't want everybody going in, because you just don't know how strong the other riders are today, what part of their training and racing program they're on, and whether they're feeling as good as you.
And Dayton, and we can just see a little bit of gap opening up between the riders and the groups, and a little bit of yo-yoing here. And of course, we got the brand new launch of the game, the latest, really big update, the latest version 3.4.1. So the new version of the game. This is a new user interface when you come into the game, and when you come into the game, you have a different menu to select from, and so a little bit different on the way through. But of course, you also have the new screen in front of us, which is slightly different for people who have been watching. We've been doing this way too long now. There's no such thing. We have been enjoying watching the racing, putting worse the action now for basically 18 months, I think it is. And do you know what? I like this new the new interface. It's got so much information on here. Now, with our riders up and away, you can see we'll pick out one thing at a time. I'm going to go first. I'm going to go top center.
Oh, okay.
Nice little game here. So top center. As you can see, the top center, we have our riders' data. This is the information about the rider that we are watching. So we're watching Musa Al-Mansouri. You can see that we've got the clock, the time that our rider has been traveling, heart rate, 137, pretty obvious what that is. Cadence or pedal revs. So that is how fast you're pedaling, and a good cadence generally is a key indicator that riders are on form, that they're working well and efficiently. Top left-hand side of that big bar, you can see watts per kilo. This is critical information when you're racing. When you're looking across at somebody on the race, you know exactly how hard they're working. You can see that on them. You can see whether they are lean and mean, whether they're a bit like me and need to do a lot more training and a lot less eating, or similar. So that's the way of working out how much power they're putting out to watts per in terms of kilograms. So how many watts per kilogram? Really key number that, because generally you'll find that people with the highest watts per kilo will climb better and generally are slightly more efficient and faster. Now, that's what they're putting out. Power is up above it, and that at the moment is in green, now flicking to white. In white, it means that the rider is in the draft. So he's out of the draft and he's in the wind. When it's in green, got to get it the right way around, then it means you're in the draft, and that means that you are then able to hide. You're not expending as much energy for traveling at the same speed. So that is the key bar. As you can see across the top, we have our distance travel bar moving its way across, currently having covered 2.1 of the 35 kilometers. So that's one done, and we've got one group away. It's going to be time to head across to our next category. This is category 3. So as you can see, we go from 4 to 3. Category 3, next category up the ladder. More individuals in here and some really strong riders, Emma.
Yeah, 19 riders today on the start sheets, and we've had some fierce competition in this category already this month. So Mabin, Howala, Hinau, Alzat is in here, Francisco de Silva, Hadlock, Kekkonen. It's great to see Novelin Kekkonen back, and boy, has she come back on form.
She has, definitely. She's really strong rider in there. Got to watch out for a lot of these riders. So there's probably nobody you could write off from this group of riders on the start line. But it is a very particular course. Let's see how our riders get on.
So our category 3 riders in the pen, the clock ticking down, and away go our category 3 riders. This is qualifier race number 3 in August, and we are on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. So as Pelagio goes out in the middle of this pack, the pack looking as though they are all clear of the start pen, and all together now as they head out onto the course proper. They are up and underway, and we are comfortably in with Emily Mabin just towards the front of that group. So the group nice and tight, and no big kick off of the start line today. So as Mabin and the category 3 riders come off of the start line, they come off at a comfortable pace here on to this course in Colombia. It's a steady start and a very flat start indeed.
So here we go, riders away in our next group. So let's take you through a little bit more of the screen. Where are you going to head, Emma? What would you like to run through for everybody who's maybe new to the platform here on MyWhoosh?
Well, I think we will take the bottom left of the screen. So on the bottom left of the screen now, this is some of the information for those of you who have been with us a while. Used to be on the top right hand corner of the screen, and one of my most favorite graphics, and we'll come to that reason a little bit later. But you can see the road ahead on the graphic. You can see the blob of blue indicating that all the riders are together. Now, should the pack split, you'll see multiple blobs of blue on the road, but tight group in front of us on the race course, a tight blue blob on the road on the left hand side of your screen. Now, the top number, the just ticked over to 1 kilometre, the distance travelled. Currently no climbing at all, and no calories used so far. But taking a little look down, they're currently moving just shy of 30 kph. So the pack now moving nice and tight, and you can just see that changing, that splitting as it moves on the pack, just indicating that the group is stretching a little bit.
It is just stretching a bit. You can see those discs just coming apart. So the discs coming apart indicate that we're getting a little bit of a split between the groups. And as you can see, we're starting to pull our way in and along now. Looking down at this group across the road, and just like you would see in a road race or a track, then what you would see, if it's one long thin line, then you would see the riders being strung out, and that is when they've got the power applied, when everybody's really struggling to go round the outside, because to go out into the wind and accelerate up alongside somebody requires a lot more effort than staying behind, and the faster you go, the more that takes effect. When everybody's across the road, that's generally everybody's running pretty easily.
Yeah, we've had some very steady starts today. We saw that in category 4. Very, very steady start to category 4. And we've got exactly the same in category 3. A very, very steady start. All quite comfortable for this group. We're currently looking at Brittany Lytton, and you can see on the top of the screen her heart rate's at 153. Now, to me, that indicates, having watched Brittany Lytton race week in, week out for some time, this is a very steady start to this race for them.
So just taking a little bit of a flick across the screens here, we are up with the category 4 riders. Remember, the first riders away.
They are indeed, and they just come up and over the first bridge. And you can see that on the top right hand corner of your screen, you can see the little bump they've just come over. That is the first bridge. Now, we talked about the bridges at the start of the show in terms of the course, little small places to attack and try and stretch the group. And looks to me that the category 4 riders have already been doing that. They're coming back together again and regrouping, and they're regrouping after that first little kick on the first bridge on this course in Colombia.
So going to expectations at the moment, a push and a kick and an attack going over the bridge in category 4, category 3, one group at the moment, 1 or 2 riders dropped off the back. Category 2, next group of riders to go away. They're in the green, as you can see. Another great field in here, and definitely one for the climbers if they make it to the climb in the group.
Well, I agree. 17 riders on the start sheets in category 2 today, but we've seen some really, really strong riders this month move up to category 1. So I think this opens up the category 2 field a little bit more. So Miller is here, Montoya, Tan, Vasquez, Ospina, Daniel, Embring, Walkenhurst, Hermansen, Claudia Marin. So I think this field is opening up now in category 2 with the progression of the exceptionally strong riders we've seen move now into category 1.
So let's see who's going to take this out. It's category 2. It is a race start on qualifier number 3. 35 kilometers, 537 meters of climbing as we head into the Paso Alto, and all after this flat, fast section with the bridges, really the only key attack points on the way through. So category 2 underway. Let's see who can take this out. Will we see a long range attack? We've seen it before. As you can see, we have riders just being stretched and distanced here. And as you said earlier on, Emma, not all the riders are going to be in the same place in terms of training, in terms of racing, and that affects how they ride, doesn't it? It's just in terms of whether they even try and stay with the group.
Well, completely. And you don't know. This just may be, I say just, this may be about qualifying for the final for a rider to ensure that they are in the team competition next week. And as such, they might be taking an easier ride just to ensure that qualification place and not contending the top 5 today. For others, contending the top 5, absolutely key. So we do see different dynamics from different riders in different categories and different races in different weeks. Because, of course, MyWhoosh coming to you every Sunday all around the year.
Every single Sunday, all the way through the year, and it's been great putting words to action and seeing the platform develop. And part of that is what we can, what information we can bring you. Now, Emma dealt with the bottom left-hand side of your screen. I dealt with the top. Now, Emma's done the top right-hand side in terms of the profile, that little heart rate. It could almost be the heart rate, couldn't it? That line. It's not.
It's not your heart
anybody
rate.
asks, it's not. It is gradient. But those little bumps are where the heart rate will spike, and then we've got a big climb at the end, which it just keeps on going skywards on. It's pretty much heart rate equals elevation, and it's pretty much, well, it certainly is for me. Now, right-hand side of your screen, SRC Women Qualifiers, you can see in the white, and the position of our rider, Lisa Hermansen, 28 out of the 80 riders who are on the start line at the moment. Now, that does vary slightly because we will have riders still coming in and joining the event as they come in and through. Now, the right-hand side of your screen, you can see we have the riders. So you can see that Lisa at the moment is hovering around about the 28 to 31 position, currently 29 as I speak right this second. In the green jersey of category 2, which is shown on the right-hand side, you can see that the only people really up in front of this group are category 3 riders. They're in the blue. And as our riders go up and down, you'll see that there are time gaps in between. You can see that the group in front, they are about 4 minutes 40 to 4:50 in front, depending on how fast the riders are going. You can see the watts per kilo per rider. You can see the distance that they've covered. And you can see at the moment that the group in front have covered 4.2k, and that our riders in the category 2 leaders are at 1.6 kilometers. Really key on here is the information that tells you when these riders are going. So you can see when they're going to be digging in deep, how hard they're going to be pushing, and that'll become evident a little bit later on. Now, we've got 3 categories away. We start off with category 4, 3, 2, and then category 1. Now, all new riders go into category 1. That means that we're going to have 2 really distinct groups, I think, today. We're going to have the group that are category 1 riders and are going to be in category 1. So they may already have proved exactly what performance they've got and have been allocated category 1. It also means that they might be riders in there who are going to come into this category, category 2 or 3 or 4. But because riders are new, they will always go into category 1, rather than finding that we get Anne-Marie van Vleuten turn up and suddenly end up in category 4 because it's her first ride. She would be put into category 1. And it is that straightforward. You don't want Lizzie Diner turning up in category 4, giving everybody a whooping and working her way up. That is not a determined time scale. Now, let's dive in with the riders who are in category 1 today. And this is a packed, stacked field.
Well, it is absolutely packed. 43, I'm going to say that again, 43 riders on the start sheets today in category 1. Arias Para have come up from category 2 this month, but Engstrom is here, so is Sanchez, so is Bardeskaya, Biarhead is here, Quevedo, Manshandi, Kirchner, Koinstonen is here, Fua is here. This is a strong race field. Menendez is here. So looking forward to some great racing from category 1 today.
So let's see who's going to take them on, who's going to take this out, who will be our eventual winner at the top of the Paso Alto in 35 kilometers time.
So the seconds tick down. Our Category 1 race field absolutely full of riders, and they are away today. Qualifier race number 3 in August, and the size of the pack coming out of the start pen, absolutely huge. So as the Category 1 riders come out of the start pen and onto the course proper, we can see it's a strong start from the front of this race field, just stretching it out a bit. And on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you can see the stretch on this group. Now, quite different from some of the other race categories, but this race field much bigger, much stronger, and, well, I'm hoping and looking forward to some great racing today.
Well, let's see if that's what we're going to get as they head out onto the course, onto the Passo Alto for that final climb. But absolutely key here is definitely going to be how fast, how well those riders climb at the end. But they've got to stay there. You see this group is splitting, isn't it, Emma? This is where we're starting to get those riders who are really pushing at the front. We've got Angie Parra going for a traditional make sure it's hard from the gun. She's on the front. She's starting to stretch this out. She's pulling clear a small group and still on the way, still just fighting her way up. Here is the rider. There's going to be Montoya in there. Just seeing Gaviria in here, Biarhe, Quevedo, Gonzalez. And you're seeing Badaskaya, who taking Mashandi in here as well, rolling right up to the front. She's got some really strong rides. Mina Koisten in here. Justinian Menendez has got to be one to watch with this big climb. Absolutely phenomenal climber. But still plenty of distance, still plenty of time. Make a mistake on one of these long bridges, on this long flat section, over the top, over those kickers, and you would be in trouble. You could be distanced, and then you got to work to get back in, and that could blow all of your reserves in one quick chase back.
Yeah, and what I love about this race field, Matt, you know, Koisten is a triathlete from Norway. We've got Swedish riders in here, Swiss riders in here, Colombian riders in here, riders from all around the world coming together and racing on the Sunday Race Club. And look at them in that bunch, fighting and working hard every Sunday, racing each other here. But this pack now settling down a little bit, settling down quite comfortably, I'm thinking here. And you can just see that first bridge now coming on to that screen on the top right-hand corner of your screen. We can see that coming towards up here, and we are going to, I think, that will be where we will see the first main push from the group out of this pen.
So our riders away, Category 2 already. The pressure is on. You can
take a look at that.
Yeah, they were over the top of the bridge, and that was lined out. You contrast that with Category 1. Very different riding here. Catherine Fur at the moment, nicely tucked in here. Catherine Fur, who has been really coming strong.
Oh,
now,
yeah, absolutely.
We saw a dip in her form, didn't we? A little bit earlier in the season when she was not, I don't think she was either racing really hard and was using it as recovery, or maybe was just having a little bit more time off. But she's clearly A, back on form, B, going incredibly well, and C, utilising that, because it's all very well having all the form, all the power in the world, but then not actually putting it into effect.
Yeah.
And we're seeing such strong rise by her week on week.
Well, she took third in the July final. She's taken second in both qualifying rounds throughout August. So you are indeed right, Matt. She is completely on form at the moment and absolutely flying and putting in great performances week in, week out at the moment. Well, the question is, can she go one better today and take first? It was Olsen who took the win on Qualifier 1 and Quevedo who took the win last week. That's going to be an interesting one to watch.
I think it's going to be a really interesting one to watch. Now, one of the key things about MyWhoosh, of course, is that we have top-class riders across all categories. And as such, it pays if you're racing in all the categories, because we have a prize fund that is split between our categories. Let's give you a nice illustration of this, because we have our qualifying races here today for our individual riders. So each of our qualifiers, so weeks 1, 2, 3, sometimes weeks 4, basically all the weeks except for the last Sunday in the month are qualifiers. Individual classification only, 2,160 AED for first, running down to 432 for fifth. Now, when we go to our monthly final, you can see not only is there the individual classification, But we have the team classification. And the team classification is really simple, honest Gov. You have to have 3 riders to qualify. Your fastest 3 riders' times are added together, and the fastest 3 riders added together time, that cumulative time for those 3, gives you your team time. That is what counts. As you can see, the further up the classifications your teams are, the more you win. So in the individual classification in category 3, that earns you a 3,600 AED individually, and when we get to our final at the end of the month, it's 18,000 AED for the team win. So a big jump into category 3. Let's head into category 2. Category 2, 6,000 AED to 1,200 AED, and you can see as the performance level rises, as we see those faster times, that's where we're seeing those bigger prizes kicking in. 30,000 AED, so that's 10,000 AED each if you have a team of 3. That is a substantial sum heading your way. Bearing in mind that to win the team, you are going to have to be in the individual classification as well to be right up there. Now, category 1 is even more. Category 1, 10,000 for the individual win today, 2,000 for 5th, and of course 50,000 in the month final. Now, not everybody is here able to work in AED because this is a global platform, but this means that we're going to give you a different currency. Now, we've done all sorts. We have done Nepali rupees, we've done Icelandic currency. What are we going to do today, Emma?
Today we are doing Canadian dollars.
Canadian, that's a good one.
So 10,000 AED, which is first prize for the category 1 women today, and obviously the category 1 men, 3,694 Canadian dollars as of my exchange rate on Google right now.
Okay, so that means that if you were to take the win, your rider's verified, and you were up at the top of the standing of category 1 at the end of today's qualifier, you're going to win how many Canadian dollars? Say again?
3,694.
There you go. Not to be sneezed at. And it does mean that MyWhoosh are looking at making sure that riders can be able to put the time, the resources in to make esports, to make cycling on MyWhoosh a viable race option.
Well, it's professionalising esports, isn't it? Because it's creating a new discipline and it's professionalising a new discipline. You know, as we saw in the World Championships over the last couple of weeks in Glasgow, multiple disciplines all at the World Championships. Esports, another discipline with its own World Championships, and the professionalisation of esports and allowing esports racers to become those professional athletes, absolutely key to the development of this sport.
And we see that time and time again. I mean, just going to Glasgow, for example, I know bumped into and saw quite a lot of the people who race on MyWhoosh.
That's very true.
Who are representing the country at the mountain bike, on the Gran Fondo, on the road race, all across esports. Really, really, it is really key, this integration of riders. And we see super talented riders do cross-discipline and racing across. And it doesn't always get, it's not always successful. It doesn't always them racing to their strengths. But key tool that really has developed is racing on MyWhoosh, racing on the Esports Championship. So we're going to be really interested to see when we go to the World Championships, which is the UCI World Championships. That's going to be something really special. We're going to bring you a few more details of those if you haven't seen the announcements through the week. Now, onto the bridge here, Emma, and we are seeing those red and yellow chevrons flying across the screen.
Well, we are seeing a little bit of a push here, but no real damage and real stretch here to this Category 1 race field. That pretty much happened at the start of this. When they came out of that start pen, they started strong in Category 1, and the field stretched and really formed about 3 groups on the road. This is the leading group. It's a large group of riders, and we will indeed bring you the exact number shortly, but it's a large group of riders, and whilst there was a bit of a push within the pack going up and over that bridge, no real push like I know we've had in other race categories.
So let's see what's going to happen as they hit the next to the bridges. You can see that it's not far away on the top right-hand side of your screen. Quick reminder, top right-hand side, you can see that course profile. We've got 2 short bridges. Then we go onto our big, long platform. Then we've got the slightly bigger bridge, but you can see the gradient about to increase. Now, this is real. There's no gamification here. Hills hurt.
They do indeed. Hills hurt, and you can feel the change of gradient through your pedals and in your legs, and the continued push here. And you can see this group have gone up to 5-6 watts per kilo just to push up this time. They were tapping along quite comfortably around 2.5, 3. Now the pushes come as they are up and over the bridge, but such strong group of riders in Category 1, such a large group of riders who are all very, very well matched. So all very able to stretch their legs for the 5-6 seconds that these bridges maintain, and we can see that group still all together as they push up and over that bridge. They are down on the other side and back on the flatlands.
So back on to the flatlands, and remember that we have our sprints coming up. Nice to see that we've got the banners there. MyWhoosh being announced as the UCI's official partner 24 to 26, and going to be really interesting to see how that progresses. We've seen so much progress on the platform so far. Now, the sprint segments, for those of you watching, there's no sprint prizes. We had that in the MyWhoosh Championship. We don't have that in the races on a Sunday race stop, and that is in part because the aim of this is all about getting the first across the finishing line. But when we had the championships, there were prizes for those sprints. But what they do is give us a really nice indicator of exactly how fast our riders are going. So let's show you who came through and what categories they were in, just as importantly, and it's really clear on the screen. Absolutely love this. You can see what jersey, where the rider's from, and how fast they were going. And you know what? It's pretty multicolour, Emma.
It is indeed pretty multicolour. Now, we do have a couple of riders who are hanging back off of their category and sprinting. So obviously utilising today as a training session and utilising the sprints and time segments along the way to do that. So Cadena from category 3 taking the sprint time in 18 seconds, 18.5 seconds. Now, pretty much very, very similar. So the category 1 pack going through at pretty much a similar pace, and the category 4 pack going through at a similar pace during this first segment. So the first segment, just 200 meters, and it came at 6.3 kilometers into the race. And in fact, I am scrolling back down, and it is the pack from category 2 that were actually pretty much the slowest through there, but not a huge amount of discrepancy throughout the race field, pretty much coming through around that 20-second mark. So as we move from the first segment of the day, you can see here we've got category 1 on the left hand side of your screen, category 2 on the right hand side of your screen. They are on different parts of the course now. Category 1 have another bridge coming up in front of them. Category 2, well, it's currently flat.
It is currently flat, and that is predominantly what this course is. It is all about it being flat, about it rolling. Now you can see category 2 at the moment have covered 10.6 K covered of the 35 kilometers. At the moment, this group of what is 6 riders are currently motoring their way in and along. As you can see, they're nicely working together here, but as they go over the bridge, you can just see that little split occurring, and that is just because the riders are squeezing on the pedals on the front. The riders at the back maybe not quite as quick to respond, and response time is one of those key factors, isn't it? Because whilst you might all be capable of doing the same power, quite often it's whoever puts the power down first and then uses the delay in people's reaction time, and then the time for their brain to legs engaged, legs into the turbo, and then send the signal into the game.
Well, I think there's a lot of factors involved, because it's not just getting that attack in and that attack in early and getting catching the group napping, but also other factors come into play here. We always say it's not the person with the largest watts per kilo at the end of the race who normally wins. It's the smartest rider, riding with your head as well as your legs, sitting in the draft, taking it easy, letting other people expend more energy energy than you. Utilizing the dynamics of the platform, utilizing momentum. We've talked about that so often. You know, a lot of riders go, oh, I'm on the downhill, I'll take it easy. That is not necessarily the case here. Being able to ride up and over the top of the climb and push on the downhill to get the momentum and the pace up high often is a great point of attack.
And we can see that here because we are seeing riders who are maybe kicking and sprinting. We've seen Jenny Daniel go through 17.289 on the Jungle Trek Sprint. A quick reminder, this is 200 meters long. Fast time there from Daniel. Menezes and Alze going through in 16.8. They're going through at higher watts per kilo, but they are expending energy. If you look at somebody like Daniela Obando, she's at 3.6 watts per kilo. Heart rate is well down and goes through in 17.8. So saving energy, not kicking in. Generally, watts per kilo are a key indicator of that. Now, the majority of the riders here are category 1, which means the pace is picking up. We've seen that with that smaller group. But you can see here, average watts through that segment, they do vary. 311 up on our screens there. That's pretty high on the way through, and that will be a response to come in. But if you look at Justinian Menezes, who is the rider with the fastest time, she's tucked in this group, and I suspect she was going from the back or off the back to the front of the group through that section. Now, we're coming into our next bridge for these riders. So this is a slightly longer bridge to go up and over this, and Menezes tucked in tightly into this group of riders, Emma, and that is going to be key here. She's got some fearsome figures who we know are going to be strong as well.
Well, looking at that count through that segment, 18 riders in this leading category 1 group, and some great riders in here. I wouldn't want to take Jenny Sanchez into a sprint. We know how strong she is. We know how strong Karuk Quevedo is as well, but some great climbers in here too. So this is going to be a great race, I think, once this starts going skywards on that final climb today.
And that is one of those key things, isn't it? A quick reminder, final climb comes at 21.9k. 21.9k. As you can see, Ella Vake and the category 4 riders there at the very front of this course, and they are motoring on at the moment. Looks like they're about 16.5k in to this, 16.8k at the moment for them. The leaders of category 1, this is the leaders, not the entire race field, 10k covered, so quite a substantial distance. And as you can see, category 4 are in the streets, in the towns, making the way in and through, and really interesting to see that this leading group of riders, which is 4 riders strong, have got a gap of 41 seconds on the group behind. So we've got Vink, Al-Mansouri, Smithson and Idzik in the leading group behind. You can see Paolo in there, you've got Madeira, you've got Grazia, Kirchner, all of capable of being in those top 5 positions. But at the moment, this group of 4 have stolen a march.
They have indeed. So it is 4 riders clear in category 4, and then 3 riders chasing. So those 3 chasing riders got their work cut out as we come in towards what will be the first category 2 climb. Now, we said these riders here, these are the leaders on the race at the moment. They started first. They've been on the bikes for 30, what should I say? Well, they've been on the race for 33 minutes, 17.4 kilometers done, and that first category 2 climb coming at 21.9k into this race. Now, what's really interesting, this first 17.5 kilometers, only 61 meters of climbing so far, 537 meters of climbing in this race completely. That's a lot of climbing to come.
It is a lot of climbing to come, and I think that is going to be really, really telling when all that climbing comes together. Now, we are into the tunnels here. This is really interesting, the way it's splitting here. We're seeing 1 rider, 3 riders, 2 riders. This was a comfortable group of 6. They've got a little bit of a gap, but it's breaking. Now, there is a riser into this tunnel. This, one of my favourite parts of the Colombian world. Definitely the climb isn't my favourite, particularly when I'm riding it. This is, love this, very subterranean. I don't like caving, but I do love this cave. And I'm loving the torch-lit platform across. Gives great shots, but it is really, really fast through here. So the fast section here as they roll in through, really showing that these riders mean business. That little break on that ascent up, Emma, into the boardwalk through, it does damage, doesn't it? And sometimes it can be an indicator of who is feeling good in terms of climbing.
Well, and riders utilising that technique to just put a dig in. That kick went to 6.5 watts per kilo, and that wasn't really a dig to change the racing. It was a dig to find out whose legs weren't with them today. And you saw that because you saw the stretch. So the riders finding out about each other so that they can prepare their tactics for further down this race field. Well, further down this race field is Jackie Giuliano. She's one of our Category 3 riders. She will be the next rider that leading group in Category 2C. They are just behind her around the bend. So if Giuliano could look over her shoulder, or if she could hear them on the road on that wooden boardwalk, she would hear that pack of riders coming. They are 10 seconds behind her now. So the Category 2 race field about to start working their way through the other riders on the race course, and that next group that is going to get caught, well, that is going to be the back of the Category 3 race field.
So the riders are making their way through. You see Giuliano, they're not all that far away. Riders catching steadily as they come in and through. Great to see the differences in the categories. Category 4, remember, is our standard level category. Category 3, step above. Category 2, a step above. Category 1, the top, the cream of the crop. In terms of power, they will do the fastest race time almost every time, because that is because each of these categories, they're based on performance, and those are verified performances. So, Emma, for those people who maybe aren't new to MyWhoosh, verification or esports, it's pretty straightforward, really, isn't it? Essentially, at the moment we're live, all the results we give out, all the things you see on your screen are live. Everything you can see going onto the MyWhoosh.com website, it's live, it's real. This is as it happens. Then we have the unofficial results. That's basically when the race has ended, but prior to verification. Then we have verification. This is the checks and the process of making sure that it's actually achievable and it's been done.
Well, I think that verification process pretty much starts before the riders get on the bike as well, because you've got to have the right equipment, you've got to have dual record, and you have to have these essential elements to be able to race. All of that is part and parcel of that verification process. If you want to join us on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, if you want to come and race on MyWhoosh, don't worry, head over to the MyWhoosh website. You can find out all the information you need. The Sunday Race Club's got a technical guide, it's got rules and regulations and frequently asked questions. Just hit the events page and click on the Sunday Race Club. You will find out everything you need to know to register, the verification process, and how you get onto the start line and join us in a Sunday coming.
So download the app. It's available on iOS, it's available on Android, it's available on Windows-based systems, so pretty much whatever you want to run on. There are minimum specs because part of the aim of MyWhoosh is to make sure we've got a platform that will work right the way through into the future. There's no point building it around your ZX Spectrum 81 that you might have stashed in the cellar or in your loft somewhere. This is all about having a kit that's going to work, that's going to provide those accurate results. Now, you can just see in Category 1, got a little bit of a gap opening up here, and it looks like there's a response coming from Quevedo. She's not letting Alvarez go down the road there. But Quevedo very quick to respond and onto this boardwalk. This is the climb up. This is where we are going to see a number of riders just have to respond, I think, to this little bit of pressure you can see at the moment. 0.7% rise as they come in, 0.8%. That's the top of your screen, top right hand side, that little white number. That's percentage. Up on the top there, and that is the gradient. The riders are at 1.6, 1.7, 1.89, 2% now and climbing. So this is this climb onto the boardwalk, and this is getting tougher as they come through.
It is indeed. They are testing each other out, but very, very quickly all back together again, and the pace settling down. Now, I say the pace settling down, they are pushing on up this climb. They'll shortly be at the top, and then it will drop back down and out. And the rider you can see in front, well, that is Category 2 rider Pulgarin. Pulgarin is going to get caught by this leading group. The question is, will she try and jump in and take a draft off this group and a bit of a tow back to the other Category 2 riders that are around 2 minutes up the road, or will this Category 1 pack go up and over and straight through and past Para? Now, Angie Para, we talked about her coming up from Category 2 on the start line. So Angie Para in the front group of this Category 1 race, and she is the rider pushing on now. 18 riders in this group. Para is the one leading the race.
So Angie Para with the fastest time to where she is now. I'm sure this pack moving very quickly. Category 1 traditionally the fastest. It's very rare that actually beaten in terms of overall time. However, it does depend on how it's raced and how it's ridden. If this was me, I'd be doing one of two things. I'd either be, because I'm not the world's best climber, I'm definitely not the world's best on long, very dull, boring, long ascents. Despite the scenery being good, the pre just made me go slow looking at it. I would be attacking on here. I would be trying to put the climbers in trouble early, make them work to try and stay in that group. Very difficult, though, to do that. Or I'd be saving my energy, hiding in this pack and doing zero, which means that one of the big workhorses of the pack would be just taking it steady. And that means that this group could just literally poodle its way to the climb at zero speed just about, but then on the climb it's going to go flat out. And then I've saved all my energy for that climb. But it's always a mix, and this is the great thing, isn't it, about sport? It's why we love commentating on it. It's like why we all love watching sport, why we love watching racing on MyWhoosh, because everybody's individual and everybody has their own individual physiological makeup, but also their own mindset and how they're going to race it.
Well, they do indeed, and at the moment this group are racing it all together. Take a look at that tight bunch. 18 riders down there in those yellow jerseys. 18 riders, steady pace. Angie Para's heart rate has just dropped nearly 10 beats whilst we have been chatting, Matt, because they have backed right off, now down at 2.5, 1.7 watts per kilo I can see coming out from some members of that group. So this pace has really steadied back down in this Category 1 race. I think there's 18 riders in the group. I'm not expecting much to change in this Category 1 race until we get to that first Category 2 climb.
And this means that this snapshot that we have coming up, a quick reminder, the sprints are not for money, there's not for points, there's no prizes. It's all about giving us a snapshot on the Sunday Race Club. That's different when we come to things like the championship races, the tours. But if you look at the riders coming through at the moment, as they go underneath the banner at the end of the Sand Girl Sprint, this is going to give us the time for those riders coming through, and this will be key in terms of telling us whether they are going fast or they're going slow. So let's take a quick check and see who is quickest. It is Jenny Tan, still from Category 2, but then take a look at everybody behind. Tam must be.
She's having some sprint practice today.
5.8 watts per kilo.
I tell you,
I
she's having sprint practice today.
Look at the watts, 368. Yeah. That's a big kick coming through when you look at it compared to Category 1. And remember, of course, for the same power and speed, Category 1 will be taking it easier. They're not going to be working as hard for that. So very indicative that the Category 1 group have backed off Jenny Tan, but still faster than the majority of Category 2 or a similar time, Emma.
Yeah, they are indeed, and some very, very similar times coming through there. So the Category 1 leading group of 18 riders, very well mixed in time-wise with Category 2. But as you can see here now, this is Jenny Tan. She set the fastest time through that segment, but she's at the back of the Category 2 race field. So Tan, Miller, just while the screen changes there.
I think it's Ospina Giraldo.
And Giraldo. The riders, the 4 riders at the back here of this Category 2 race field, they are the next riders down the road from that leading Category 1 pack. And the Category 1 pack will see them shortly.
They will. So Category 1 leaders, right-hand side of your screen. Category 1 chases with Jenny Tan on the left-hand side of your screen. So you can just see that the front of the race is Hermansen, Abando, Daniel on the right-hand side. They are the leaders in Category 2 on the right. The chasers include Jenny Tan, who is doing sprint training. And this is the thing, sprint rest is slower overall, generally, than the leading group. A steady pace. And they are, I mean, they're not going slow. Don't get me wrong. This is not hanging around here today, but it's not as fast as they can go.
Well, it's definitely not as fast as they go. Anna Embring at the moment, who we are focusing on, 125 watts, 133 her heart rate. I would say this is very steady state for these Category 2 riders, but they are shortly to find the bottom of that Category 2 climb. They are going to be climbing for 3.5 kilometers with an average gradient of 2.9%. And as we can see, the Category 4 riders here, this is the leading group on the road. This is the leading 4 in the Category 4 race. They are already on that climb.
So they're on the climb. As you can see, the gradient, 5.8%. Average of this climb is 2.9%, but it shows you that there are dips and raises, even in what looks like to be a fairly steady climb, a fairly steady state climb. It does change gradient, it does vary. Got to remember our course profile shows you across the entirety of the 35 kilometers. Now, when we take a look across, compare Category 4 leaders on the right of your screen with our Category 3 leaders, much bigger group in Category 3 all together, and as you can see, they are just on the lower slopes. They literally just hit the climb. They're at 22.1k, so they're 200 meters in, and already that gradient starting to kick up to 3.7%. So here they are. They're on the start of the climb. This is where the climbers should come to the fore. Those riders who can't hold that pace will start to struggle, because they will try to hang on as long as is possible. They've got to judge this right based on what is coming, because remember, this is only part 1 of Paso Alto. We have 2 climbs, Category 2 and a Category 4, and they make up the ascent here today. They have the majority of the climbing in. Let's take a look.
Yeah, so we are indeed in Colombia today, and it is the latter part of this course the riders are now coming up to face. So you can see from the 21.9 kilometer mark, we've got 2 red sections. Those are the 2 climbs. The Medellin City climb, it is indeed 2.9% average gradient, not as steep as parts of the Category 4 climb, which comes at the latter stages of this at 31 kilometers. There's a small green sprint segment on the top in between the 2 in that yellow block. But that yellow block, Matt, a possible opportunity for riders to come back?
I think it is. Anything that is a flat rolling bumpy or an FRB section, flat rolling and bumpy, is the description. It is exactly that. There is a change and a change of rhythm for all riders. You know what it's like. You're going at one pace, you change pace. That's when people get in trouble. That's when riders who can change their cadence, we talked about that cadence earlier, change that cadence quickly will work. If you're sat doing churning around a huge gear, very slow revs, 30 revs per minute, you're not going to be able to kick. So if you look to that yellow section, it raises, it's flat, it rolls, it's low, and then it climbs again. For me, 1 is about selection, 2 is about winning in terms of those climbs. Medellin City climb, that is the selection moment. That is where you're going to know whether you're in with a chance. You're not going to necessarily get back, but you could give yourself a chance of being in there. But for me, the flat rolling bumpy section is where you can attack hard. And if you attack hard, remember, the second one is 3.5k only for the second part of the climb, the Bogota climb. Really, really interesting to see who can kick on there. Now, are our snapshots going to give us any indication of who is on form today? Well, we've just been through the next segment. This is the Montbox City Sprint. As you can see on the Monpok sprint, it's still Jenny Tan. Guess what?
Yeah.
400 watts. She's getting quicker. Well,
Yeah.
she's putting more power down, that's
She
for
is
sure.
indeed. She's really putting her mind to the efforts that she's working on today. Isabel Giraldo from category 4 taking second place, 30 seconds, 0.17. Then Jenny Sanchez from category 1, and we've got a real mix. Category 2, category 3, category 1, category 4, because they are all travelling somewhere around 2.5 watts per kilo through that segment.
And it really is showing, isn't it? If you take Tan out of those results as being the outlier on the average, all very, very similar. Now, up to the very front of the race, Musa Al-Mansouri is on the move. She has put the power down, 3.9 watts per kilo. She's opened a gap of 15 seconds. Remember, this at 23.8k is well into this climb. And that means essentially she's 2k into the 5.5k climb. She's got plenty of distance to make this count. She hasn't brought clear anybody at the moment. Smithson, Idzik and Vink are the nearest riders to her. They're the only riders within 1 minute of her. Behind her, you can see that it is going to be Paolo behind, so that's Crispo Grace Paolo, and then it's going to be Apple Clarissa Garcia. So you can see Crispo and Apple behind. You got Mara Madeira, Cristina Pelagio sitting at 234 for Pelagio. Then you got Zabara at 235. But at the moment, this group, which contains Idzik, that contains Vink, they have got to work really, really smart here. Go too hard on the chase, they could blow themselves up and go out of the back of this group. Not go hard enough, they're not going to make the junction, are they, up?
Well, they're not, but Vink and Smithson, both in this group, both have been teammates before in the finals of the month. So those two riders, perhaps the opportunity to work together and push on, but it's looking like the three of them all pretty much steady pace at the moment. Al-Mansouri is doing a sterling job climbing up this mountain, because this category 2 climb not phasing her at all. She's got a set pace, and that set pace is just higher than the chasing group of 3 behind.
So you can see she's well onto this climb. If you look at the left-hand side of your screen, you see the rider that we are following, Musa Al-Mansouri, with the arrow just in her red disc, just coming in towards this hairpin turn. Behind, you've got that small group of what is essentially 3 riders. Then you've got another group behind. It really is spread out. And interestingly, I think we're going to see this leading riders in category 3, that's Pelagio, starting to close in. She's at 4.1 watts per kilo. She's leading this group. As you can just see, she's got a big group of riders with her as well, and they are motoring their way up here. So Pelagio leading, she's setting the pace. The rest of the group just making the way up here, but we've got some big names in here. We've got Gallego, Henao, Alzate, Mabin, Kekkonen, Zabala. I mean, a real who's who. There is a lot of riders there. Now, that would not be my ideal race scenario at this point in time. Not sure about you there, Emma. I think the colours, the chevrons in yellow and orange, showing just how hard these riders are working. Maybe we're going to see some distance coming out.
Yeah, well, you never know, but it is a class category 3 race field today, and you can see that. So 24 kilometres of the 35 kilometres race distance now done, well and truly on the climb, and still a large group of category 3 riders together, and that's because of the quality in that race field. You know, Mabin, Kekkonen, Alzate, Hino, Hadlock, Pelagio, all top 5 riders in that category 3 race field. This is anybody's race today in category 3.
And they're only 800 meters in front of category 2 leaders. The category 2 leaders are on their way as well. They are really pushing on. And then behind, you've got category 1 in there too. So you have a massive range of riders who are closing in together as we come on to the first of our climbs. So you can see we have 4 sets of riders, 4 groups, all separated on that start line by their proven ability in rides on the MyWhoosh platform. Remember, jump on Tune Up Tuesday if you want to get into the correct category quick. The more information we have about you, the better. Now, category 1, we know the information coming in because they're going underneath that polka dot arch. They're hitting the base of the climb and currently having covered 21.9 kilometers of 35k. It means there's still a substantial amount of distance left. However, remember, this is split into 2 climbs and the flat rolling bumpy section in between the FRB. Let's see how they get on this climb. I'm just watching this group, and I'm kind of like waiting. It's a bit like sitting in a movie, wait. You know, they do all the setting up of the show. They do the setting up of the movie. They sort of introduce the characters, and then you're waiting for that moment. You know it's going to come. You're waiting for that explosive action, the chase, the drama. At the moment, we're still waiting for that drama from Category 1.
Well, there's 18 riders all ready to give us a great story, and that story is going to start to happen as we see their wheels go skywards. Bardaskaya is pushing on with Fua at the front. There's some class riders in this leading pack in the Category 1 race.
And it looks to me like in Category 1, the riders really starting to squeeze here. They need to first setting the pace on the front. We know that she likes a nice hard pace all the way up the climb. She's not going to want this to yo-yo quite as much maybe as somebody like Covado or Menendez, but at the moment they are really working well. They're closing down on riders in front. They're going to come on. Tantan is the rider who we talked about earlier in those sprints, really putting the pace down in the sprints, really working hard in them, but it means she's at the back of that group now. Meanwhile, in Category 3 here, you can see as they go over the top of the gorge with the waterfalls underneath, we've got Pelagio leading this group here. She is setting a ferocious pace, and she is not far off the back of the leaders of Category 4.
Yeah, look at that. The Category 3 race field, starting 5 minutes after the Category 4 race field, have now worked their way through the back of that Category 4 pack. Now only 4 riders ahead of Christina Pelagio, who is currently leading that Category 3 pack. Now you can see them coming. If Vink, Isaac and Smithson just turned their heads, they would see that large pack of Category 3 riders about to make the juncture to their rear wheel. There's just 2 seconds until this gap is closed on this mountain.
Well, it's almost like they're running down the freight train lines, but behind that train is coming faster than they can run. It is a big old train coming. Here it comes. This is where you will see these riders swallow up the leaders in Category 4, who were the fastest riders on the road. But Category 4 have the chance to respond. The speed at the moment, though, is low. We are on a steep section, 6.9%. I've just seen come up on the top of the screen. And that means that this is not about drafting. You don't get much advantage. It's about digging in deep, pulling it out from somewhere and try and stay with the group and use it to force a gap.
Well, taking a look at this, 2 things we're looking at the moment. The heart rate of Isaac, 191. Let nobody tell you climbing and racing on the Sunday Race Club is easy. And 2, on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, the graphic, and now this is why this is one of my favourite graphics here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, because you can see very, very clearly that Category 3 pack mixed with those Category 4 riders. And you can see Al-Mansouri, that is the lone red dot down the road. She is the current leader on the road today, but this now is the chasing pack.
So you can see this back, they are now through. They're the leading group. They have 1 more rider to catch who is making her way. She's got another hairpin turn actually coming up. She's going to take this tight left and a right. A quick reminder of distances here, because this is also pretty critical. 27.4k is the top of this climb. 27.4k. That means Al-Mansouri, if she can get as clear of the climb and onto the faster section, she can use that flat rolling bumpy section to take draft, to take some shelter and to go up. But she's got to be wary, because that lead could be brought down. Here she is. She's still setting a really good pace up here. But behind, the riders in Category 3 are trying to close down. They could use this to their advantage to pull back that gap, use those riders in Category 3. So the Category 4 riders that started with Al-Mansouri has worked so hard to distance, are going to be trying to use the group coming. But if you look on your screen, that is a lot of blue jerseys and not so many red mixed in there. Give us some more information, Emma.
Well, there were 3 chasers in Category 4. Al-Mansouri had done a breakaway with Smithson, Vink and Idzik, and those 4 riders went into this mountain together. Al-Mansouri broke clear. The other 3 riders are now well and truly mixed into this group, pretty much towards the back of this group at the moment, because we're seeing Hadlock and Kekkonen. Kekkonen is the rider pushing on. Now we've seen Noveline Kekkonen. She has had some phenomenal races. She won last week. She was 3rd in Qualifier 1, and today she is pushing on because this climbing from her is very, very strong.
And the answer coming from Howeiler. You saw a rocket round. She knows the danger of Kekkonen going clear. Tanya Howeiler there really pushed. You saw coming around that hairpin turn. It looked like almost she was riding the berm around the outside of the bend there with the pace that she carried around there. She was coming at 5.9, massive kick. And you can see what's happened as she's gone on to the wheel of Kekkonen. The rest have responded. Kekkonen kicks again. I'm not having you come back easy. And this is what you can do. If you can climb, kick, rest, give these riders a hard time. They are closing in on Al-Mansouri, but it's still 38 seconds. And I think this is doing damage to those Category 4 riders that were mixed in too.
Well, it's Kekkonen, Hadlock, Howeiler, Hinau, Pelagio, Alzat and Mabin. Gallego is there as well. These are now the Category 3 riders in contention, because you can see this has broken the Category 3 pack. It's not as large as it was, but Kekkonen now got 6 seconds on the chasing group.
So keep an eye on all of the individualization of Kekkonen's avatar with that red hair there, just going up on to the climb. Easy to pick the riders out when they personalize this. And what a great view you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. We're watching our riders in the center of that circle, so you can see the circle of the map just spinning around. We're with the yellow pack. It's almost one disc going up there, each disc representing a rider. They are piled on top of each other like a set of casino chips at the moment. Let's see where they're going to fall. Will they land on the right numbers as they go up the ones they want? They're going to come around this turn, but it is absolutely populated with red, with blue, with green and yellow discs, and that is because we've got all 4 categories on this section of the climb. Now, they are currently leaders in Category 1, not the entire pack, remember, but just the leaders, 24.5k into a 35k course. So in 500 meters, they'll have 10k or 6.214 miles to do if you work in Imperial. They are trying to close down on the riders in front. The Category 2 leaders, right hand side of your screen, 26k, 1.4 kilometers separates the lead in Category 2 from Category 1. And I think this is in part because Category 1 has not yet blown apart. They don't want to go too early on this climb and get into trouble. Fua is pushing the pace here, but I suspect we're going to see that big kick just as it go over onto the flatter section. Currently 7.4 here, so she's winding this up. There's 5.6 watts per kilo, so really is starting to move. Okay, so Fua on the attack, pushing on here. You can just see the red chevrons just coming out from Quevedo and Engstrom. They really want to be in the mix as well. Koisten, Bjarhed, Sanchez, Araheka, Badaskaya, all right up there. They're really pushing. Meanwhile, the catch has been made between Category 3 and the very front of the race. Musa Al-Mansouri is here, but looking down that screen, there are no further red jerseys. Now, Al-Mansouri, can she respond? She's been climbing at similar watts per kilo to these riders. They've had the advantage of having a group here. Now, are they going to try and kick clear and distance Al Mansouri? It looks like Alzate pushing. Hadlock is working hard here, but look at Al Mansouri. She's determined to keep this gap. She doesn't want to drop through this group too soon. She wants to get over the top. If she can make the top of the climb, this is key. Come on, Musa. This is where you've got to push. This is where it's got to be. We're at 35k. 5.1k to go to get in over the top into the finish, but this is going to be tough, isn't it?
Well, she is pushing and she is trying to stay there, but the watts are going up and then they're coming down. They caught her, which means they were traveling faster than Al Mansouri. Kokkonen now pushing on, and Kokkonen's decided now is the time to kick. She is coming towards the top of the climb. It's currently 6.5%. She's continuing the pace. She's continuing to try and break this group. Al Mansouri is going to hold on for as long as possible. It's going to be interesting to see if she can hold on to this group until she gets to the top of this climb. She's going to get a little bit of respite at the top, but Holweller picking it up, so's McAlpine and Alzat. None of this category 3 group want to let it go. That's because there are so many of them still in this group.
And if you lose contact here, the front of the riders, front of this group will go over the top. The gradient will go to 0. The pace will rocket upwards. If you're still on the climb, climbing at 10 kph, at that time, when the rest of the group are doing 30, that gap, that distance will open massively. So you want to be in the biggest group, and you ideally want to be up at the front with that big group. Tanya Howeiler knows this. Behind any riders who are in 1s and 2s, they're going to be in trouble. And Kokkonen is pushing here. Look at this, 7.1. She's determined to string this out. Don't let any of those people on the back who've maybe just been sitting at a pace get on. Can she split the group going over the top? This is key here. We're starting to see Al Mansouri losing distance as well. Kokkonen is on the top here. This is the top of the Medellin City climb. This is absolutely key for the riders. Who is going to take it over the top of the climb? Really, really key. What a group, what pace.
Well, what a group and what pace as this group now head onto the bridge. This is the flatter section, and we're going to see this group, I think, all come back together again, because you know what? There are 9 riders in this group.
That is some number. Now, just taking a quick look at the split times going over the top of the climb. The fastest time being set so far by Novelin Kokkonen, 19 minutes 54 seconds. So sub 20-minute climb. Now, that's substantially long climbing. 20 minutes climbing is a long, long way.
And should we just put that into context? Because Al Mansouri, 23 minutes.
There we go. So great context. So 23 minutes for Al Mansouri, who is our fastest rider in category 4. We've got category 3 going up with Kokkonen. And of course, we've got the chase behind in 2 and 1.
Well,
and look at number 1.
Take a look at what is happening in category 1. It's Quevedo, Fua and Menendez who are pushing on, and they have pushed on hard, and they are using, now we've often talked about this, they're using the confusion on the hill because they are catching multiple categories, and there are multiple riders, and it is a fantastic opportunity to attack as you come onto a different group, because it does create just a little bit of confusion. Jenny Sanchez is the rider in 4th place, but she is 15 seconds back down the mountain. And take a look at that bottom left-hand side of the screen. You can see the damage that this attack has done to the category 1 race field. They are scattered all over the mountain.
They are indeed scattered all across the mountainside. So category 1 are flying up here, 26.3k covered. Remember, the top of this climb coming at 27.4. That is going to be basically 1k. They just clicked up to 26.4. So 1k, 1,000 meters to the top of this climb. Got a new fastest time in for the climb. That is 18 minutes 11 seconds for Anna Embring. So Embring setting the fastest time in category 2. So going through a 1 minute 43 seconds quicker than the fastest previous time. That was Kokkonen's. However, she's not alone.
No, she's not alone at all. So Embring, Hermansen, Walkenhurst, Vasquez, Abdano, all in that group. So 5 Category 2 riders coming through pretty much, well, within 1.2 seconds of each other.
Wow. Now, who's going to do the same? Are we going to see a group? Is it going to be solo for Category 1? These are your leaders at the moment. Fua, Quevedo, Menezes. A real triumvirate of talent, to use a Hugh Porterism, of our riders on the way up, and you can see how fast they are moving. 16 kilometers an hour on an 8.5% climb.
This group behind are coming. The train is pushing its way up the mountain, and Alzat is leading this train. This train is the Category 1 chase group, and they are trying to bring in the 3 breakaway riders. So Alzat, Engstrom, Koivunen, Sanchez, Gonzalez, Jenny Sanchez are all in this group, and there are more Category 1 riders trying to get onto the back of this locomotive.
Well, we're going to see whose train will hit the platform first at the top of the Medellin climb, who's going all the way to the end of the line. When we get to the top of the Bogota climb, who's going to be the first in to get the ice cream at the top after a long, hot day climbing here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. The clock for the riders in Category 1 ticking on. It's 54 minutes plus of racing. Currently we're in with Karut Quevedo, multiple sprint times national champion on rollerblades of all things. So very, very fast, big explosive power, very strong climber. Menendez is really good climber, and Fua, of course, never to be discounted on anything that is basically tough and involves setting a hard pace. But do you know what? Look at the riders behind. They've been hovering at 6 to 8 seconds. They're hovering around about 10 seconds, but we're coming up to the top here. We've only got 200 meters of climbing left, and look at this. This group could go over the top clear by about 7 seconds. It's coming back down again.
It is coming back down again as they are pushing on. They are treating the top of this climb like the finish of the race, because if they don't get back to these 3 riders, well, it is game over.
So let's see who's going to go over the fastest times for you. Fastest Category 4 time, 23:28 for Musa Al-Mansouri. Nolan Kokkonen, the fastest in Category 3, 19 minutes 54. The fastest rider in Category 2 with the fastest time on the day, 18:11 for Anna Embring. Is it going to be beaten? Well, we will wait once they go up on the screens. As you can see them coming through this banner in Category 1. We will tell you at the moment, though, the race is split apart. You can see that we have 3 leaders down the road, 3 chasers, then a pack of about 5 chasers. And here come the results. Oh, look at this. It's not 18 minutes. It's not 17. It's a 16:55. 16:55.761 for Quevedo, almost identical time for Menezes, fractionally slower for Fua, but that is quick.
It is indeed, because the chase group are 8 seconds back. So Jenny Sanchez, Mina Koivunen, Cornelia Engstrom, Viviana Gonzalez, all 8 seconds back. And then the chasers further back down that mountain, 10 seconds slower for Gonzalez, 14 seconds slower for Manshandi. That group, that leading 3, are pushing and pushing away.
They are. This is some ride, and it is quite incredible the pace that is being set on this mountain. Once they hit it, once they started to really wind this up, then it has gone in incredibly quickly. Now, quick reminder of what is between our rider who is leading. That is Karut Quevedo, who is currently kicking on in the flat rolling bumpy section. We've got that yellow section that was between the 2 climbs, between the Medellin City climb, our Category 2 climb, and our summit finish, which is after our Category 4 Bogota climb. Remember, 500 meters from the end of climb number 2 to the very summit and the end of the race. Now, these riders are pushing very hard to get there. The distance is right down. Remember, this is 35 kilometers in total, 31.3k covered for the pack on the right-hand side of your screen. This is the Category 3 group who look to be trying to contest the finish. They have distance to the Category 1 riders who set off 15 minutes behind. You can see that reflected in the time gaps on the screen. 1 hour, 7 minutes of racing for Category 3. Meanwhile, 57 minutes, nearly an hour's racing for the Category 1. But these riders, tell you something, that Category 1 group have not given up. I don't think this is all over by any stretch of the imagination.
They haven't at all. They've hung on as long as possible in that first Category 2 climb. The gap was only about 10 to 12 seconds. Now they've still got an opportunity because it is not over yet. That Category 2 climb was not the final climb. That Category 4 climb is the final climb. And if they can stay as close as possible, well, there's always an opportunity.
That's what we love about bike racing. There is indeed always that opportunity, there's always that chance to be able to take away a top spot. But the riders have to be capable of pushing all the way in to that finishing line. So who will it be? Who is going to take this out? We are now into our last 5K for all of our leading groups. We have Category 3 leading on the road. They overtook the Category 4 leader, Musa Al-Mansouri. She was solo last we saw. In Category 2, we've got a group of riders still with Hermansen, Embring, Vasquez, Abando and more, all working hard together. And this is the Category 1 lead group. As they come down here, you can see Fua, Quevedo and Menezes have been caught back, but it's not by everybody.
No, it's not at all by everybody. So they've picked up Myra Madero, who she is the rider in the red jersey. Koinstinen has caught, so has Engstrom and Jenny Sanchez. So what was a group of 3 is now a group of 6.
Okay, 6 riders, 5 prizes. Someone's not going to be particularly happy at the end of this one.
Well, they continue to push and they'll continue to push on. Look at that now, the 6th rider just pushing back in there. So we can see 6 Category 1 riders, 1 Category 4 riders, 7 riders in total as they continue to traverse between the 2 mountains.
And on that traverse is the Amazon Rainforest Sprint, 29.8k to 30.1k, 300 meters. Engstrom, Alzette, Gonzalez, Mashande. Interestingly, the fastest riders through there, with Howeiler, Kokkonen and Hadlock's time very similar, but of course separated on the road by some distance. As they go through there, though, really interested to see how close they are.
Well, these are the riders pushing on, Matt. You know, Howeiler are pushing on in Category 3. Those other riders, you know, so Sanchez, etc., pushing on in Category 1. And that is the story that that segment is telling us. Now, back in was the leader of the race. Currently, it is Hadlock, Alzette, Howeiler, Kokkonen, all up here pushing on in this Category 3 race. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders clear. They've now got chasers in that Category 3 race. They are a little bit further back down the mountain as these 5 riders are the ones pushing on.
So it looks like McAlpine, Hermansen, De Silva now all left with work to do to close down. We're just in with Aileen Francisco De Silva on the right of your screen, the nearest rider to that leading group of 5, and she's got them in her sights. This is not over for her either, but she's got to close this gap down. So you can just see she's working to get back in here. She's not going crazy in terms of the watts, but she knows that they're not far ahead. She's going to come up to the group. Will she go straight past? Will she sit in? Will we see a response? They're now going to see that the time gap has come down, and if they want to keep a distance, they've got to push really quickly. However, I think De Silva could well make contact, but you don't lose contact for no reason. It's very rare that a long, prolonged period of loss of contact happens because you have the legs, you have the mindset, you're on top of your game, and it's just random. That doesn't happen.
It doesn't indeed.
There usually is a reason. What you've got to do is work over that. Now, behind, there is some assistance coming, because I think this Category 3 leading group are likely to see the riders that are closing on Wendy McAlpine, and that is the leaders of Category 2, Hermansen, Embring, Vasquez, Valkenhurst, and now they come. So you can just see up onto the wheels of McAlpine. McAlpine will take some draft. They're at 20 kph, so that's a reasonable amount of draft coming through, a reduction in the amount of power needed, and McAlpine has responded. She saw them coming. Very smart riding there by Wendy McAlpine to take advantage of this group. The speed is high, 25, 26 kilometers an hour, and if she can stay with this group, that will help her as she tries to make contact with the group in front.
Well, it's a real push and it's a real ask for McAlpine because Embring and co are pushing on. McAlpine now being distanced because Embring, Hermansen, Walkenhurst all want to be at the top of this mountain. They all want to take the win in the Category 2 race. And, well, they're not bothered about whether Wendy McAlpine can come with them.
Now, taking a look on the right-hand side of your screen, you've got the leaders on the road. You've got the leaders of Category 2 on the left of your screen. Leaders on the road now at 33.9k, 1.1k to the finish. 33.7, 200 metres behind come Category 2. Who will be the first rider into the finish? Who's going to have the fastest time up the climb? All the results on www.mywhoosh.com /results. So you can get that on the main menu bar. Going to results, then find the racing live at the moment. And it'll go to unofficial, then verified. Once that verification process is complete, it's extensive. We're not going to list it for you, but dive on if you want all the details on how we make sure all of our riders' performances match up to what's expected and what they've shown us. Now, you can just see Al Mansouri leading Category 4, steadily being passed. She's currently getting on about 15th, 16th on the road, and it looks to me like she has got company. So Al Mansouri has got company with Ella Vink. So Vink now takes the lead in Category 4. In Category 3, they are at the very front of the road. They are positions of 1 to 6 on the road as they go up. Then you can see that the Category 2 leaders, well, they're pushing. Category 1 are working hard as well. We're coming into the final few hundred meters, though, for pretty much all of these categories. So here we go. This is the top of the climb, 500 meters from the polka dot banner to the line. Who's going to get it out of this group? They have been so evenly matched on this climb, and at the moment it looks to me like the leading 5 riders will be finding this out. That's Hadlock, who's at the front of the group. Alze, Howeiler, Henau, and Kokoden. De Silva is going to be out of this group, and at the moment Hadlock now squeezing on. Response from Alze. So at the moment Hadlock with the blue cap pushing, going really strongly here. 400 now, 300 meters to go.
Well, 300 meters to go for Hadlock. 8 minutes 24 up the climb. She set. Howeiler is the rider chasing, and now this is a 2-up push to that finish line for these riders as they continue to push. Now this Category 3 pack, they want to be the first ones through that line. They are 200 meters ahead of the leaders of the Category 2 race, Hermansen and Embring, as Hermansen and Embring continue to push up through this field.
So here we go now. Hadlock, Howeiler, 34.9, less than 100 meters to go. This is the run for the line. Here comes the banner. Howeiler kicks over the top. Howeiler is pushing. Will it be Tanya Howeiler? It's going to be Howeiler. She's got the gap. Over the line she goes. Your winner. It's Tanya Howeiler on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club qualifier number 3, followed in by Hadlock, Alze, Henau, and then it's going to be Kokonen. Immediately behind Category 2 are on the way. It's Lisa Hermansen who's going to be leading home Category 2. She comes in ahead of Kokoden. What a ride. Love the emote. Now a lightning bolt comes out as she comes through. What a ride. Embring through in 2nd place in Category 2, and it's going to be Walkenhurst who is going to take 3rd place in Category number 2. So we have seen the first riders in and over. Let's see who's going to come in Categories 4, and of course our fastest riders, Category 1.
Yeah, and they are a little way back down the mountain. Now that is so interesting. It was Hermansen 1, Embring 2 last week. It's Hermansen 1, Embring 2 this week, as we see the Category 4 riders coming up to the finish line. That is Ella Vink. She came past Al Mansouri on this climb. Ella Vink goes through in the Category 4 race. She's now at the top of the mountain. She's got 500 meters to the finish line. The Category 1 race on the left-hand side of your screen, well, they've got 1 kilometer to go.
So category 1 with 1K to go. Category 4 with 400 meters to go. And you know what? It's going to be really close when they get into the line. Category 1, though, Jenny Sanchez kicks. She's passed by Quevedo here. This is going to be a run in to the line. Who's going to take this? We have only seconds of this race left because we are running
look
in.
Look at that, because Sanchez and Quevedo are joined by Fua. Fua has come up alongside, so 3 riders side by side with 700 meters to go. So Quevedo, Sanchez, Menezes is now pushing on further back down the road. You know, Menezes may well catch this group of 3. So Quevedo, Fua, Sanchez, probably Menezes maybe as well by the time we get to this line, because that banner, well, that's the top of the climb. It's not the finish of the race. And it was indeed Menezes who just made the juncture to that leading group of 3. This is Ella Vink. She caught Musa Al-Mansouri. 50 seconds back is Al-Mansouri. She's put a phenomenal gap in and a fantastic ride up this category 4 climb, because it's Ella Vink who is going to take the win in the category 4 race today.
So it's going to be Fink taking the win. Al-Mansouri was chasing, but this is the run for the line. We have got 300 meters to go. We have got 3K. 3 riders now make that 4. Menezes is back in touch. This is it. This is the run. Who's going to get it?
Well, Quevedo is here, Sanchez is here, Menezes and Fua. They've got riders joining them all over, because this is the push for the line, and Fua has gone here. Fua has kicked early. Can she hold off Quevedo? Quevedo is coming at nearly 10 watts per kilo, but Fua is out as Quevedo is coming alongside, and Quevedo goes over the top. Quevedo takes it from Fua on the line. Wow, I'm going to catch my breath, because Karub Quevedo came through to take that from Catherine Fua. Wow. Menezes in 2, Menezes in 3, Alzat in 4, Jenny Sanchez taking 5, Mina Constantine taking 6. Absolutely fantastic effort to that finish line today.
What a ride, what a race. Remember, we have plenty of riders still out on the course. You can catch up with their results and all of the results on MyWhoosh.com. And make sure you jump onto the social media as well. That is MyWhoosh across Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, it's out there. Don't forget that whilst you're on there, you can catch up with what I've been doing. I'm Matt Payne. And you can catch it up with me at Matt Fixer Paint, as you can see on your screens. Emma, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me at Biking Emma on Instagram. So head over there. Let us know what you're up to. Let us know where you're riding, because that's the information that we love to know.
We do indeed. So we are going to take a breath. We're going to refuel with some real quick recovery, and then kick again for the men's race that's coming up very shortly on Twitch TV. It's MyWhoosh live on Twitch TV. Make sure you join us there or on the YouTube channel. Don't forget, of course, jump on and experience the worlds, including the brand new Belgian World with the official UCI partner for esports for 24 to 2026. That is MyWhoosh. But from Emma, from myself, Matt Payne, and from all the team at MyWhoosh, stay safe. Time for coffee for me. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.